For over a decade, a masked intruder hunted the quiet suburbs of California. Starting in the mid-1970s, he slipped through locked doors and closed windows in the dead of night, moving with a calculated silence that left entire neighborhoods paralyzed. He stalked his victims for weeks, learning their daily routines and unlocking windows days before he planned to return. Once inside, he used a specific diamond knot to bind his victims. If a husband was present, the intruder meticulously stacked ceramic teacups on the man's back, whispering that if he heard the porcelain rattle, he would kill everyone in the house. This psychological control allowed him to spend hours ransacking the home. His violence followed a clear upward trajectory. He began as a burglar in the Central Valley, known as the Visalia Ransacker, escalated to a serial rapist in Sacramento, called the East Area Rapist, and finally became a murderer in Southern California, the original Night Stalker. Despite leaving a trail of sketches and footprints across more than 150 crime scenes, the attacker eventually stopped. He vanished into the population, evading the largest manhunts in state history and leaving police with no leads. One reason he remained at large was a systemic blind spot in law enforcement, known as linkage blindness. In the 1970s, investigators struggled to realize they were hunting the same man across different counties. Without a national digital network, police departments operated in isolation. Detectives in Sacramento stored their evidence in physical filing cabinets, while detectives hundreds of miles away in Santa Barbara kept their own files in separate buildings. These departments rarely cross-referenced their notes. This changed in 2001, when forensic DNA technology reached a new level of precision. Scientists compared biological evidence from the Northern California rapes with evidence from the Southern California murders. The profiles were an identical match, proving the crimes were the work of a single person, the Golden State Killer. Investigators immediately uploaded this profile into CODIS, the FBI's DNA database. They expected a name to pop up among the millions of convicted felons on file. Instead, the search returned 0 results. The state possessed the perfect biological map of the killer, but because he had never been arrested for a serious crime, he simply didn't exist in the system. The investigation hit a wall that lasted for another 17 years. By the late 2010s, a growing cultural trend provided an unconventional solution. Millions of people were using home testing kits to find their ancestors, and many were uploading that data to GEDmatch, an open-source site for family historians. Investigator Paul Holes realized that if the killer's relatives were in that database, the killer could be found. He uploaded the crime scene DNA to GEDmatch, treating the profile as if it were just another person looking for their cousins. The database searches for shared DNA, measured in units called centimorgans. High volumes suggest a sibling or parent, while smaller amounts point to distant relatives. Holes did not find a direct match for the killer, but the data identified several third cousins. A third cousin is a distant connection, sharing great-great-grandparents with the suspect. But for the first time in 40 years, the killer was anchored to a specific family line. Building a family tree in reverse, they traced third cousins back to a single pair of ancestors. Mapping every branch forward created a web of hundreds. Filtering for age, location, and military history, the nodes vanished until exactly one remained: Joseph James DeAngelo. A broad, sprawling search had been methodically refined until it pointed directly at one man. DeAngelo's history explained why he had been so difficult to catch. He was a Navy veteran, and during the peak of the attacks in the 1970s, he was a working police officer. His career provided the perfect tactical advantage. He knew how to clear fingerprints, avoid canine tracking, and anticipate police patrols because he was a part of the force. He even attended town hall meetings where the public discussed the East Area Rapist, allowing him to monitor the investigation from the inside. In April 2018, investigators placed the 72-year-old DeAngelo under surveillance. They waited for him to visit a public store and discard an item, which they secretly collected to obtain a fresh DNA sample. The lab confirmed the match. A few days later, a team of officers arrested DeAngelo outside his suburban home in Citrus Heights. The Phantom was finally in custody. He had spent decades living as a quiet retiree, mowing his lawn and waving to neighbors, believing the passage of time had made him untouchable. DeAngelo's arrest established a global blueprint for investigative genetic genealogy. Police departments worldwide began adopting the same methods, identifying unknown victims and solving cold cases that had remained stagnant for decades. This new method also created an unresolved ethical paradox. It forced a debate between an individual's right to genetic privacy and the public's need for safety, leading many DNA sites to tighten their security protocols. Ultimately, the Golden State Killer case proved that even a ghost leaves a trace. That trace just happened to be hidden in the DNA of his distant relatives.